We'll get started. So as I said, welcome everyone. My name is Christina, and I am one of the procurement managers for PACE, which is Pacific Asian Consortium and Employment. And we are on our third series of a four-part series on our Procurement Masterclass. So first we had our Intro to Procurement. The first one, we did a developing capability statement. And now that you have your capability statement, now we're going to talk about how you look for those procurement opportunities. So we will get started. Go. And just a few housekeeping items. Make sure you are in listening mode. Please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to unmute yourself. And then also to ask questions. So Phil, there are a few ways to ask questions. Either do the raise your hand function. There's also a chat function and also the Q&A. So I'll try my best to kind of look and look look up those three and make sure that I address your questions as much as I can. We will try to have a Q&A session towards the end, about 10 minutes, but we do have a lot of really really cool guests today, so we'll see how much time we have. However, we do have webinar recordings, so please visit our e-library later on if you miss anything. And if you do have any questions, we will give you our information later on, so you can contact us directly. And also, please complete our survey when the webinar ends. And then also the fact that this is being recorded, as I said, so we will have the recordings later on for you. Okay, a little bit about PACE. So PACE is a nonprofit organization that has been around since the 70s. And not right now, I think we have about 400 people that work throughout different departments at PACE. And I am in particular part of the Business Development Center, which deals with entrepreneurs and business owners like you guys. And then we provide a few different things, such as one-on-one consulting, including business plan development and needs management. We have an entrepreneurial training program, which provides business planning and then training from startup to finish. We have a lot of business courses and also webinars like these. We also have a small business financing, so we work with both SBA and non-SBA loans. And then we have a special section that is workforce development, which can help with employee hiring and workforce development. And so in particular, I am also part of the Minority Business Development Center. So we are the LA portion of the MBDA Center, which is supported and operated by the U.S. Department of Commerce. And so we work with socially and economically disadvantaged business owners and providing them three things: access. So access to capital, which means connecting them to private lenders, banks, and investors. Providing access to contracts. So that's why we do a lot of this procurement series, because our goal is to assist you in contract and procurement opportunities. And then also the last part is providing access to markets, so which is positioning to expand client base and operations to global markets. So right now we have a special partnership with a global export program, which is part of the GOBIS program. So if you are interested in expanding to different countries, I can, please reach out to me, because we do have those special programs. And there's also a special grant for business owners, which is called the STEP grant, that could help you with if you wanted to expand overseas. Just a little bit of context on what we're going to be going over. First, we're going to be identifying procurement opportunities. Second is how to utilize government and other procurement databases. And then we're going to have our special guest, Barbara, who will talk about California sourcing and procurement platform. And then also the supplier relationship management. And then we're gonna top off with understanding capital needs in government contracting, and then also talking about resources for accessing capital. So I just wanted to quickly introduce our guests. So Barbara, if you can quickly say hi, so they know you later on when you talk. So we have Barbara Wegg, who's from the California Manufacturing Technology Consulting.
Great to be here. Thank you so much, Christina, for including us in this.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Barbara. And then we also have Linda here. from CMTC. So if you want to quickly say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi,
So,
Christina. Everyone,
yeah.
thanks for having me.
Thank you. And then we also have our special guest, which is Ruth Cosio Muniz, and she is from the OC Regional Consortium.
Yes,
So
good
if you
afternoon, everyone. So I'm representing all 9 community colleges in Orange County and happy to be here. Thank you for the
yes,
invite,
of
Christina.
course. Thank you, Ruth. And we will be hearing from Ruth later on at the end of after we talk about the resources or as part of the resources. So now let's get started. So first, just a quick show of hands on the chat. Who here has gone to any vendor portals or any experience with vendor portals? Um, whether it's sand.gov or Cal eProcure, I just wanted to see who here has experience and then who here is starting out. Okay, so it seems like a few of you have had experiences. Yes, okay, great, awesome. Okay, so hopefully today you kind of we reinforce your knowledge of the portals and then introduce new portals that maybe you haven't tried before. Right? So great. So always great to see that some of you guys are starting to look at them. So first is identifying procurement opportunities. So there are many different ways to find procurement opportunities, right? So I will say there's always two things. One is online and one is offline. So offline is are things where you, let's say you go to an event, you go to procurement events, you go to networking opportunities, whether it's the chamber or maybe through Caltrans. So there are some vendor days that some of the agencies participate in. So for example, OCTA, it's the Orange County Transportation Authority, actually has vendor days that they have monthly. So that's something that I have learned pretty recently. But I'm sure that other agencies have those. So it's just a matter of looking at the agencies that you want to do business with and then figuring out if they have any opportunities for you to meet procurement officers on offline or in person. But the other one is maybe the more easy, the easier one would be to look online for vendor portals. So what are vendor portals? Vendor portals are just a whole bunch of secured website platforms which are utilized by either the government, utility companies, or commercial entities to manage their procurement programs. So later on, we'll just give you, because I can't give you all the different platforms. I'll just give you a few different examples. But at the end of this webinar, we will be sending you a list so then you can freely explore on your own what different procurement portals there are. And so what it does, it allows suppliers to do business with buyers. What it also does, it's a mechanism to announce the need for new products and services. And then you can also, what it does, it also matches your request for proposals and bid opportunities to registered vendors that are based under NAICS codes. And then NAICS codes are just simply industry codes. So for every business that is in the US, there is a matching NAICS code or industry code. So the government basically filters all the different businesses and and then you can get assigned an industry code. Although there are some industries right now that are fairly new or innovative, like AI. I actually haven't seen what industry code they're in, but I'm pretty sure right now they're probably grouped into, either IT or cybersecurity or professional services, something like that. But later on, I'm sure that as the government catches up, there will be a specific industry code for them. Okay, so now that we know that there are things called a vendor portal, we're gonna go through how to utilize government and other procurement databases, so you're just aware of them, and then also learn to navigate them. And so for me, what I do is my first question to a client, because they always ask, there's so many procurement portals. Same as certification. What kind of certification should I get? Same thing with the portal. What kind of portal should I register for? Because there are a few different ones. And I always say, well, what level of government or what type of entity or entities will you be doing business with or you want to do business with? And so that kind of triggers the fact, okay, well, if you're going to be prioritizing it in some sort of, in some sort of tier, so what portal should you register first? So for me, I always go, what level of government? Are you looking to do business with the federal government, the state? So I think we have a few people here who are in different states, but for here, let's say the state of California, the county. So right now I'm gonna be showing LA County, but there's one San Diego County, or there's one for Orange County as well. And then also the city. So right today we're gonna be showcasing the city of LA, but they have one from different cities, and then also different utilities. So whether it's Caltrans or or different, or OCTA or SoCal Gas, they have their specific procurement portals as well. Okay. So first is, so I'm going to start at the federal level. So the first, the most well-known procurement website on the federal, which is on the federal level, is called SAM for short, but it stands for System for Awards Management. And so what it does, it helps you determine if the federal government purchases what you sell. And then it also, well, first is you register for SAM, which you must renew annually. And so once you create an account, there are a few things that I consider as important. First is identifying your NICS code, which, as we talked about before, which is your industry code, because that's how you will identify what opportunities are available to you, and that's how people can also see what NICS codes you represent. So that's how people can find you as well. But this one, it's almost for me a way to also research if the federal government purchases what you sell. So if you look for different opportunities, and let's say honestly, today I was just looking at one of the databases, and the first thing that popped up was toilet paper. So as you know, the federal government purchases everything. And so now, it's just a matter of looking at those keywords and seeing if it's something that you provide. And so the other thing that is important, and in the next slides, we will show you what it is. It's called a unique entity identifier. And that is, I consider almost like a social security for your business. It's an identifier for your business that is a numerical code. And it replaces a DUNS number, which is what the government used to use, I think, before 2022. I think that's when they had gone through and replaced this. But SAM is an official U.S. government system that consolidates contracting opportunities and act as a registry for companies to do business with the federal government. And it's a mandatory registration for all contractors. So no matter how large or small you are, there's no fee to register for their site. And then this is also how contractors get paid and how contracts are managed. And as I said, you have to renew this annually. So just a show of hands, or on the chat, virtual show of hands, let me know if you're familiar with SAM and if it's something that you have registered in. And then while people are doing their thing on the chat, I just wanted to, oh, perfect. Okay, at least two of you have raised your hands. Yeah, so this is just, a few different things of why you should start a SAM registration. So if you're a business and you want to do business with the federal government, if you are also a nonprofit, and then you also need a SAM, active SAM registration if you wanted to do grant applications. You also need a UEI number, which is the unique entity identifier number. And then if you are a local, a state government or agency, and you are receiving federal assistance. So as you can see, the SAM website is almost like a repository for a whole bunch of things that relate to either procurement or grants or grant applications. Okay, and then this is the thing that is important, and which I had spoken about briefly earlier, is that the unique entity identifier is how the government identifies you. And so a question that I had previously in the last session that I remember was that, is the unique entity, do we need a UEI number even though we have an EIN number? And the answer is yes. So the EIN number is for IRS purposes, and whereas this UEI is for the purposes of contracting and then also grant applications. So the purpose is definitely different. Okay. So before I proceed, I just wanted to look at the chat. Okay, so someone here had said, I registered and went to a snag with Cage and UIE. So that's very specific. So Jessica, I think I have an appointment with you. So we can talk about that when we chat. But yes, I've heard some snags on the SAM website. One of them is that one, and the other thing is putting their bank account information. And so, so that is more on the technical back end. So I just say to contact tech support because it seems like, yeah, that's more of a glitch in their system. Okay. Okay. Yep, perfect. Seems like a few of you guys are registered on SAM, so that's great. So the second one is federal, and now we're going down to state. So state is the registration database is called Cal eProcure, which is run by the Department of General Services in California. And it is the official procurement California for official procurement platform for the state of California. And it serves as an online portal where businesses and vendors can find information about government contracts, procurement, and purchase orders for goods and services. And it's also, as I mentioned, it's managed by the California DGS, and it's designed to really streamline and facilitate buying and selling process between the state and vendors. And it's used by government agencies to streamline the procurement process and then reducing paperwork and ensuring transparency in state purchasing activities. So I can just imagine before Cal eProcure was actually established, how truncated it was, right? And how frustrating it might have been. Okay. So with the difference between California and federal is also the utilization of the numbers. So California utilizes a number called, or an identifier called the UNSPSC, which is a mouthful, but it stands for United Nations Standard Products and Services, and it's basically to standardize description and classification of goods and services purchased statewide. So it enables the procurement division to effectively analyze source goods and services and fully utilize the e-commerce capabilities used in the marketplace. So you can use your UNSPSC codes to show what you provide. And this is just an example of what the initial the first page of the DGS website looks like. So I think what's very important is, aside from, if you look at the 4 different tabs on the bottom, so first is, what do I do? First is selling to the state. Yes, we've talked about procurement. Second is getting certified. So this is also where you can look at the certifications, find training and resources. But what I found that was pretty important was, how do you find public procurement information? So I was just clicking through it. So it shows you historical data and then historical information on what has been purchased historically. And actually, that's where I had found out about the portable toilet, which is actually, I think it was on the first or second page. So if you are going to go through and explore this website, one thing I also encourage you to look at is looking at the public procurement information. And then now we go through the county. So the county is the website that I like to go to is something called it's the LA County Doing Business with the County. And this is a portal provided by the LA County to help businesses, contractors, and vendors navigate the process of doing business with the county government. So it basically acts the same as California or Cal eProcure or SAM.gov, except this one is in the county level. And this is just like the first page that you'll look at. So registering your business, It's, very similar in format. You can look at open solicitations and then vendor, and then you can look at awarded contracts, which I think if you are someone who is looking at just doing some research on whether the products and services that you sell, the government entity is actually buying. So this is good because it looks at what the awarded contracts have been. And then it also gives you just an opportunity to look at the amount, just giving you more information on what exists out there. So the last one that I'm going to talk about is now we're going on the city level. So city level now for LA is called RAMP. So it's called Regional Alliance Marketplace for Procurement. So if you're gonna, it's actually called RAMP LA, which is an online portal established by the city of LA to centralize public and private procurement opportunities. So it was launched pretty recently in early 2022. But it aims to streamline the contracting process, which makes it more accessible for businesses, especially if you're doing your certification, you're running your business, you're looking for procurement opportunities. What we're looking for is just to streamline the process. And this is just an example of what the first page looks like. So very, very easy, I think, and very clean. So looking for bid opportunities, you can look at, different keywords and such. And then a few things that you can look at. This is in general, a few different things that you can look at when you're searching for requests for proposals is by the NICS code, which is, let's say, if it's electrical contractor, graphic design, or by the keyword or a notification number. So the notification number is a little bit harder because you have to know the actual notification number, right? But you can look at, for me, if you're looking at something that's more generic or general, I look at the process where I look at it is I look for keywords, and then if there's way too much, let's say construction, right? Then you may look at construction plus another keyword. And then the second thing that I look at is the NICS code. And then rarely do I look at the RFP notification number unless unless a client has told me, okay, I have a specific RFP that I saw before that was closed and I wanted to see I wanted to check it out. Or you have an RFP that is current right now and you wanted to look at that one and find specifically. Okay. So this, I know it's pretty small, but this just gives you another indication of what it looks like when you look at and look at one of the requests for proposals. And then the last one that I also look at is Planet Bids. For vendors, Planet Bids is almost same thing as a centralized portal to register, view, and submit your bids online. It's all these things, all these different types of procurement websites. Their goal is one thing: is to centralize everything and also to streamline our life, right? The lives of business owners who are busy already. And this is just kind of like what it looks like. This one was a vendor portal for the LA Community College District. Okay, so I'm gonna pause because we're gonna have Barbara talk to us more about some of the other databases that she recommends. So before we go to this portion, okay, so I'm gonna stop my share and then I am gonna let Barbara take it.
Thank you so much, Christina. That was very informative. And thank you all again for allowing CMTC to participate today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for folks. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'll just tell you a quick little bit about myself. I have some 35 years contract manufacturing experience, primarily in the personal care space, primarily in the metal finishing and fabrication sector. And then in the last 9 years, I spent as a VP for a contract manufacturer in the personal care space. I'm a certified supply chain professional. I'm currently the supply chain consultant for CMTC under a supply chain grant from the Department of Commerce. So as Christina mentioned, there are a wide variety of directories, databases, and platforms that are available, and we're going to review some of those today. Just a heads up, you don't need to write down any of these. As she also mentioned, we're going to be providing these lists following the presentation. So for the purposes of this discussion, I've categorized these databases by domestic, international, and government, and then differentiated these as to whether they're considered strictly a directory versus a marketplace, or in some cases, they're a combination of both. So a directory is generally a platform on which a company can list their profile, as well as search for buyers and suppliers. And then the marketplace aspect refers to a platform that allows a company to obtain quotes and make transactions within the platform. In the case of the latter, the platform can act as a middle person and may take a percentage of the purchase order as their fee, or have some other kind of fee structure in place to monetize that transaction, which leads us to the importance of understanding as to whether the database is free, paid, subscription, or some combination of all of those. Some of these directories offer free access to post a profile and search industrial lists, and some promote memberships and subscriptions in addition to a free listing. And I have found that the terms and conditions are usually fairly clear on the respective websites. And again, I'll provide a list with the links of the most known domestic databases, and then you'll see Christina's also databases that she provided in depth earlier. Okay, so you may or may not have heard CMTC launched their own free platform this year. So we're going to review the backstory and the creation of this platform and discuss how to use it. Please keep in mind, again, everything presented here today are tools they have in your back pocket to assist you with your procurement needs. So the backstory on the platform launch goes back to last year, when each MEP center, if you're familiar with MEP National Network, there's an MEP center in every state, including Puerto Rico. We all received a supply chain grant called SCOIN or SCOIN, that stands for Supply Chain Optimization and Intelligence Network. So as I mentioned, CMTC is what's known as an MEP center, as part of a public-private partnership with funding from the Department of Commerce. So under this grant, the Department of Commerce was seeking to leverage the expertise of all the MEPs in the national network to provide them with information regarding critical sectors within our respective states. In addition to mapping those sectors, we were also asked to enhance supply chain interconnections by selecting a platform to connect our manufacturing buyers and suppliers, and then share that information across the national network. So after much consideration and negotiations, in February of this year, we partnered with Sustainment to power California's Sourcing and Procurement Platform, or CSPP. Now, the reason we chose Sustainment was because, like CMTC, they are also a public benefit corporation, and at their very basic core are committed and dedicated to enabling continued success for American industry and US manufacturers. So let's talk about platform enrollment and some of the benefits. As I mentioned, it's free. It's also easy. You can get connected in 4 simple steps. You're going to create your account. You just go to CMTC/CSPP, and as you can see, we'll provide the links. You submit your company information to participate in the platform. If you're already in the CMT database, your company name may pre-populate. And then you'll be directed to the Sustainment website to create a profile. So you're going to log in, create a profile, get noticed by customizing your free profile by adding your logo, your manufacturing capabilities, certifications, registrations. You have unlimited space to describe your processes. You can even add other company users or administrators to your profile. So other department leads within your company can have access to projects you might be working on. Then you create a project. So you create and post a project to the sustainment community, and then you attract suppliers to bid on your opportunity. So in addition, you can get verified by CMTC. Sustainment offers a digital verification badge. You can see in the slide in this upper corner here under the manufacturer's name, there's a little digital badge that says that they are verified. Really, their verification process is very simple. A client advisor at CMTC connects with you, verifies that you are a manufacturer, that you are in fact located in California, and then we simply submit a request to sustainment to apply your digital badge to your profile. So how do buyers benefit? This platform assists with supplier management by offering buyers the option to post and track projects from RFQ to PO to completion. So another cool feature is that you can also track and score your supplier's performance. If you have never created some kind of supplier performance scorecards, this is a great opportunity to get your feet wet on this particular topic. One of the best features of the platform is that it provides FedRAMP ITAR file sharing with up to 150 gigabyte file size and unlimited storage at no cost. So that's a great value to those companies that don't have the ability to share large files. And they also have software to open up drawings, 3D prints, CAD. So you might not necessarily have that software in your toolbox, but they do, and you can utilize that for free. Buyers can maintain and keep track of NDAs, drawings, certifications. You can exchange all that information in a shared workspace with team members as you permit. And what's more, you can ensure data security and compliance in a CMMC compliant space for all supplier messaging. And anyone who's currently doing business with the government knows that this is required compliance. And the key benefit to suppliers is that in addition to all of the above we previously discussed, they have the opportunity to find new customers and broaden industry connections. So not just within California, but across the entire network. So in a best case scenario, I would love to be able to connect a California buyer with a California supplier, but that's not always going to be practical. So this is where CMTC can leverage the power of the MEP National Network by connecting companies across the US. So I have supply chain counterparts in each of the states. And if you connect with me on the platform, we're going to talk about that in a second. And I can work with other counterparts in other states if it seems like that might be a better option for sourcing some of your components. Sustainment allows a company to have up to 5 users and up to 3 projects open at any one time for no fee. So if you have a more robust procurement team and would like to have a wider access, they do have a subscription programs for a reasonable monthly fee, but they have committed to the MEP network that they would remain free to help us provide these services for our small to medium-sized manufacturers. I'm on the platform every day. And once you log in, I will send you a request to connect, much like LinkedIn, and then we can communicate with each other either on the platform or via email. I'm always available to assist you in showing the platform map from my account. And if you have any specific procurement needs, my supply chain services are grant funded until June 2025. And I'm happy to assist with direct supplier scouting as well. So the other program I want to mention real quick is the NIST MEP supplier scouting opportunities that are posted on our national network. CMTC provides a link to a list of these opportunities in our monthly newsletter. So if you've not yet subscribed, that's another great tool to have in your back pocket. So here are a few of the most common procurement databases. Maybe some of you are already familiar with these for searching for your needs. Back in the olden days, before everything was digitized, I had 2 big books on my procurement desk. And one was the big yellow Thomas book, and one was the big McRae's blue book. These are comprehensive online directories. ThomasNet was purchased by Xometry, which provides marketplace services. So here you have a directory arm, and then you have a marketplace arm. And again, there's a fee structure associated with doing the transactions on the marketplace. And usually these marketplaces are very clear about what that fee structure is. Most of you may be familiar with Dun & Bradstreet. They have a variety of subscription options, and IndustryNet and MFG.com offer directory and marketplace services as well. Although I listed some of the better known international databases, so you could review them, we're going to primarily focus on domestic supplier and buyer relationship during our discussions. But again, you're going to get a copy of all of this as well. Christina pretty much went over a lot of the federal, state, city, local platforms that are available. I also have a list that I've accumulated. Again, you're going to get a copy of this with the active links. SAM.gov, BidNet, Defense Contracting Management Agency, DIBS, Unison Marketplace. There's FedConnect, GSA Library, Advantage, Defense Logistics Agencies, and USA Spending.gov. So all of these are additional resources for you to have. So the other portion of what we wanted to talk about today was supplier relationship management, or SRM. This is actually one of my favorite topics. So the old school procurement thinking may have leaned towards just being transactional, but in today's environment with data scraping tools and supply chain transparency, that kind of transactional thinking is just, it's outdated and it's ineffective. So SRM is all about fostering strong relationships with your suppliers that is based on trust and collaboration. This means establishing a mutually positive relationship from the onset. A supplier that is thought of and treated as a valuable partner ensures a win-win mentality. And then that can facilitate better problem resolution and improve overall supplier performance. So one of the ways to start developing your SRM program is by segmenting your suppliers or service providers that may have common requirements or criteria that you might want to evaluate or measure. For example, you might want to segment or group your sheet metal suppliers or your metal finishers together, or perhaps you have a few suppliers that provide critical components, or you have some that are currently single source suppliers, and you need to monitor these more closely than some of your other suppliers. Some companies categorize their suppliers by level of spend because they want to keep an eye on the cash flow. So communication is where you manage expectations of the relationships. Now that you put your name out on all these platforms and you're bringing on new suppliers, you want to make sure that you and your supplier agree of the channels of communication and the expectations for responses. So understanding who is your direct contact, the best way to connect with them. Do you need to set up weekly, monthly, or quarterly calls to monitor performance? Is there an escalation path if needed? You want to ensure that you're aligned on what's acceptable performance. And is the supplier accustomed to shipping? For example, if this supplier is accustomed to shipping parcels, maybe your company does not want to accept partial shipments. Does the supplier have a built-in 5% overage that's typically allowed? Maybe your company will not accept anything over the purchase order amount. So all these discussions and expectations really need to take place up front when you're establishing a relationship with a new supplier partner. So you'll want to determine what metrics you want to measure to determine if your suppliers are performing to your expectations. Typically, these performance metrics relate to quality, delivery, and cost. So for quality, you, of course, are making certain that the item you purchase meets your expectations, but also what is the response when it does not? And how quickly do they respond? Do they have a formal non-conformance or corrective action policy? For delivery, do they meet their promise dates and lead times? So tracking this metric is crucial for meeting your promised deadlines for your customers. Tracking and measuring adherence to cost management rules. Is your supplier charging per your contract? Are they adding surcharges? Is there a cost increase? And was that communicated in the time frame outlined in your contract? Becoming the customer of choice. So this is where you want to focus on developing long-term relationships. Cultivating strong relationships with suppliers can lead to long-term partnerships that are mutually beneficial and create competitive advantage for your organization. So the metrics we discussed are monitored and shared in both directions, and make sure that your business model aligns with your supplier's core competencies. So just because a supplier says capabilities, says we can do X, Y, and Z, does not necessarily mean that it's one of their core competencies. So that's something you definitely want to be aware of. Being the customer of choice also includes paying on time and providing all the information your supplier would need to be successful. Collaboration. Collaboration with suppliers encourages innovation and fosters a mutually beneficial relationship. Work with suppliers to resolve issues. Engage suppliers early in your design process. Suppliers can offer unique insights, technological advancements, or process improvements that enhance the organization's products or services. And then repeating what we already mentioned, make the relationship a two-way benefit. If this seems like it might not be mutually beneficial, then perhaps the supplier might not be the best fit for your company. So it bears repeating what we mentioned at the beginning of this presentation about how important it is to treat your supplier as a valuable partner, and that creating a mutually positive relationship from the onset ensures a win-win mentality. That is all I have for you all today. And with that, I will stop the share and hand this back to Christina.
Well, thank you so much, Barb. Great presentation. And it's funny because one of the things I learned is that the procurement relationship, aside from the introduction, right? What's even more important is what you do after you've won the bid, is a relationship that you cultivate after. For example, I have a client right now. She got the bid, but then she only got a verbal confirmation that she had gotten the proposal. And so it's been 2 months since she had gotten the phone call. So now I told her, it's been 2 months, so make sure you make sure you do your follow-up and see if there are any contracts, anything else that you need. But yeah, it's really very important to keep that relationship going, as you had mentioned. So thank you for that. But before I proceed with the next part, I wanted to acknowledge the other partners that we have. So thank you so much for CMTC. But then I wanted to see if one of our partners is FACCOC, and I know that Geraldine is here. So Geraldine, if you can say hello. Let me see. Okay, I don't know if you, but I just wanted to mention some of our partners. So it's FACCOC, and I think Geraldine Lawson is here, who is the president of FACCOC. I also wanted to acknowledge one of our partners, which is the City of Monterey Park. Also, ABAOC, which is Asian Business Association of Orange County, and NAFA, which is National Federation of Filipino American Associations, and also last but not the least is Orange County Regional Consortium with Ruth. So I wanted to make sure, Ruth, that you have enough time to do your presentation. So instead of going to the next part, would you be able to do your portion now? I want to make sure I give you ample time. That's why.
Yeah, no, of course. And I'm simply here to offer some information. I don't have a presentation per se, so I just want to ensure that folks are aware of the community college system is also available for bidding opportunities. But just to backtrack, and I'll do mine really quick because I know you have another speaker, Christina, and I do really appreciate you including me, and then also kudos to you for such a great job in the information you're sharing.
you.
So I will go quickly to allow Linda her time. For me, again, Ruth Cosio Muñiz, I'm with the Orange County Regional Consortia. That is an organization that represents all 9 community colleges in Orange County. And that grant is actually housed at a Rancho Santiago Community College District, the building you see behind me. And so I'm here to share pretty much more about the information I can from Rancho, although I'm not the expert in our purchasing department. However, I am happy to guide anyone who has questions to the right person. So just real quickly on my end, all of the organizations, the websites that everyone has been mentioning that you could go to for bidding and to get an account to be able to be informed about that. I'm not sure that the community colleges are actually listed on those. If anybody else can help on that, let me know, Barbara or Linda. But as far as I'm aware, you go directly to the community colleges, and I can share, right, Christina?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes.
So let me just do that, and then I'm going to just share some screens here. So first of all, just real quick, if you can see this, these are the 9 community colleges, and then each of the community college districts. So when you go to the community college districts, because if you go to a college, let's say Orange Coast, they're going to probably send you over to their district, which is Coast Community College District. And so they're going to be able to show you where to go to sign up and or see what bid opportunities there are. And I'll show you, for instance, off of Rancho Santiago. So here, if you went to Rancho Santiago, you can go to the departments and actually look for the purchasing department. That's what we call it, where they do the bidding. So you look for purchasing services, purchasing department, and Rancho Santiago actually has it located directly here on the home page where it says bid opportunities. So a lot of folks aren't really aware and never think about community colleges having these opportunities, but they do. So a lot of it mostly falls, as everywhere else with construction. But we have bidding going on. It's ongoing always for construction. We're always building new classrooms. We're doing retrofitting on classrooms. We're doing window washing on all those buildings, parking lot sweeping, the landscaping. We just did a rekeying project on the main building behind me, you see. There's also sports field maintenance, service for HVAC, their air conditioning. There's just a slew of opportunities available through the community colleges. And again, most of the time it's being left unseen. And so we do tend to get the same bidders back because of the fact that not everybody is aware of those opportunities with the with the community colleges. So the more people, are aware of it, would be better for us because then we're able to see what other services are out there and what else that somebody else may be able to provide. But again, just a reminder, you look for purchasing services or the purchasing department, and then you can find the exact folks that would be able to help you. But there is a line that you can call for general inquiries, or you can email them, and they'd be more than happy to guide you with the process of what to do. And again, if you go back to this particular page, you can see what is currently available. You will see when the meetings are going to be in regard to the information or orientation of the bids. You can also see other documents that they are providing online here on the internet so that people can take with them, study them, and then feel free to call them or email them with any questions. So that is, I know we're running out of time, Christina, so I will cut it there. I just, thank you again for giving us the opportunity to share that information. As mentioned, not a lot of folks are aware that community colleges also are looking for these types of services from small business owners. So please feel free to reach out anytime.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ruth. And yes, I think specifically, I had mentioned to Ruth before, I have a client who does promotional materials, but she specializes in providing promotional materials for community colleges, but a specific program, which is forgot the name of the program, but it caters to low and middle class students. So it's a specific program within the community college system. Yeah, so I had spoken to Ruth about it. So she was she provided some great information.
Yeah, and just
But there,
to
mhm,
piggyback off of that, all the community colleges do have a publications department. So a
mhm.
lot of the materials for marketing or printing, they will already have in-house. But if it
Mm-hmm.
is a major, printout or a project that they need to do, that's when they would have to go out and bid, and that would be
Mm-hmm.
more at the local level with each community college. So just
Gotcha.
keep your
Okay.
eyes and ears out,
Yes.
folks, because there will always be opportunities. And I did see someone in the chat asking for the direct link to the Rancho Santiago bid opportunity, so I'll post it there.
Okay, perfect. And then I think someone had also asked in the chat about staffing opportunities. So if you're thinking about staffing as in you're a staffing company or recruiting company, yes, I have seen opportunities in many different levels of government. So and then if there is something specific for the community colleges, then I would just recommend looking at the direct link that Ruth will be sending out. But great questions. So then I am just gonna go through in the last few minutes, just sharing just a few more things that I have in store for you because now, there you go. There you go. So we talked about this. This Barbara talked about that one. So then just one thing I quickly wanted to go over as well is that now that you've looked for, let's say you found all these great opportunities. So let's say, and we're gonna fast forward, and let's say you found one, you got it, you won the bid. I just wanted to quickly go over some of the procurement capital needs that you will encounter, right? As you let's say you've looked at a bid or a purchase order and you've actually won it. First things are like what are capital needs? So when you're purchasing government contracts, you really have to understand what your capital needs are. So to ensure that you can actually fulfill the requirements of the contract, especially since government contracts often have strict performance and delivery timelines. So then you will need the sufficient financial resources to execute the project. So just a few things that I have seen. Some of the capital needs would be working capital needs. So any upfront costs. So government contracts often require some sort of upfront investment before payments are made, especially since a lot of payments are made after milestones or deliverables are completed. So it's either 60 days or 90 days, right? So what you'll need is working capital needs to cover in any materials and supplies, equipment and technology upgrades, any salaries or wages for employees. So this one I've seen for recruiting and staffing companies where they have contracts and then they have to pay the employees first um, for payroll, and then later on then they get the reimbursement from the government after 60 or 90 days. And then also any subcontractor payments. So if you have any subcontractors, they get paid first, and then then you'll get the payment from the contracts from the government. And then also any cash flow gaps. So you may have any, as I mentioned, if you have extended payment terms after invoicing. So first is looking at your working capital needs. Second are your bonding and insurance needs. So typically what happens is a lot of these, let's say if it's construction, you may have something called a performance bond. So what is a performance bond? And that is where you have a requirement to obtain a bond or guarantee that the project will be completed as agreed, right? So that one is a performance bond, and the other one is a payment bond, almost like an insurance. So what a payment bond is that ensures that subcontractors or your suppliers are paid. So it's like a performance bond, a payment bond requires an upfront cost. And then also insurance. So government contracts typically require businesses to maintain specific types of insurance, such as liability insurance, workman's comp, and property insurance. So they may have to be in place before the contract starts. And so your premiums may require a significant cost in the beginning. The other one is just payroll and staffing needs. So the one who had talked about any staffing or recruiting RFPs, right? So as I mentioned, you have a staff, you pay them first as part of payroll, and then later on the government pays you after 30, 60, 90-day net. The other one would be any equipment and tech needs. So if you have any capital expenditures, so for example, if you're bidding on cybersecurity or any IT services, you may require investment in specialized equipment or technology to meet the government specifications. So these are upfront needs or capital needs that you have to think about when you're bidding on these contracts. So now that I've told you all these things that you have to spend money on, what are some of the resources that are available for accessing capital? Just a few things. One would be, I would call it, I didn't even put it here, which is the traditional bank loans. So basically, you can have the traditional bank loans. Um, PACE is a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution, which means we act like a bank. So a lot of my clients, if they have any working capital needs, we can help with bridging that gap up to a certain amount, like after a certain level of a loan. And then after that, we do partner up with banks in order to meet your capital needs. Another one would be lines of credit. So we don't do lines of credit, but we have partnerships with banks that can help you establish a line of credit. So any like a financial institution can help you cover short-term cash flow needs, especially when you're waiting for government payments. The other thing I wanted to talk about would be, the government, there you go, government contract financing. So some lenders actually specialize in providing financing to businesses with government contracts. So these loans are typically structured around the value of the government contract and also are used to cover any upfront costs. And then a couple other things would be factoring. So you can use the invoices as a source of invoice factoring to sell your government receivables to a factoring company in exchange for immediate cash. So you help you bridge the cash flow gap. And then the other one would be SBA loans. SBA offers loans specifically to help businesses finance the cost of government contracts, such as working capital or equipment financing. So as you can see, so we kind of had quickly run through the gamut, right? So we've helped you look for government opportunities, different sources of databases that you can take a look at, and then we had learned about two specific ones through CMTC and then also the OC Regional Consortium. So now, and then we talked about some of your capital needs that you have to consider when you're bidding on projects or once you've won the project. And now we also offered you some sources of capital that you can take a look at. So with that said, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you guys. Really appreciate it. And please feel free. I will give you my thank you for our guests and partners, which we did earlier. And lastly, I just wanted to give you my contact info. Oops. There you go. My contact information again. My name is Christina. This is my email and my phone number. And then please scan the code. This code will bring you to a sheet. If you wanted to do one-on-one consulting with me, you can go and schedule one, and then I can also give you information on some of the speakers that we have today, and then also the resources that we can get from them. So for example, we'll give you a link to the government website, the government and procurement websites that we had spoken about. And then lastly, I'll just give you, another second or two to scan this. And I will give you the information to the last series of our webinars, which will be on November 12th. So next week, same time, also on a Tuesday, we will talk to you about introduction to certifications. So basically certifications, which includes minority certification, women, veteran certification, small business certification in all different levels of government. So whether it's federal, state, county, or city, we have different certifications that we can help you with. So then you can also maximize your chances of getting the government contracts or the proposals. So with that said, thank you so much for attending the webinar. And then, as I said, after this, what I do is I usually send out just like a follow-up email with our information and then all these things like the next webinar and then also a link to the resources. But thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day, and hopefully you get to schedule one-on-one with me and or any of our guests. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.